So I'm one of two sustainability managers at our county, and I handle internal and facilities and employee behavior change and things. So this is a very quick presentation on just some basic common problems that we probably all share. And I guess those lights are for the camera, okay. I feel like suddenly. So I worked at a different county for a while, and one of the things that the Board of Supervisors wanted us to do was to buy recycled paper. So I helped develop an environmental purchasing policy. We got it adopted, and then the implementation of that was given to the purchasing department. So I still stayed involved because I was kind of the force behind it, but 6 months later I did I looked at what we had accomplished, and we had accomplished a lot for the centralized purchasing pieces. But paper was decentralized, and there was no change. So I went around and looked and investigated into why that was, and it turns out that people that order paper look at what's on the shelf, and they read the name off the box, and then they call up and order it. And so the change hadn't been made, so it didn't stick. So I knew that I had to report back to the board on it, but instead I went to the director of purchasing and said, I have to report back to the board on this. And this doesn't look good. This is what they're really interested in. And she said, okay, well, I'm just going to take it off the okay to buy list. And that was it. I mean, it was like mission accomplished. And I went, wow, okay. So it was interesting. It was a leverage. I was leveraging what little power I might have had. But I also, identified the correct barrier. So that's what worked on that one. Another one I did, when I was a consultant, I worked with a city and doing a lot of climate change work and plans. And I was told, don't even bother with the police department. I mean, we know that police vehicles are sacred, right? So, but still, they have the most VMT, the most miles traveled, and the most greenhouse gas emissions from gasoline. So the question really is how do we encourage them to use something that has less miles per gallon? So since I'd been warned, I decided to strategically present the data to them. And so this was a little pie chart that I had in my presentation to the department heads. So nobody lost any face on it, but I showed the department heads this as one of many charts. This is what where the greenhouse gas emissions come from. And what happened was, they started ripping the police chief, who happened to be a female, which was nice. But anyways, so they were teasing her a little bit about, wow, look at that. This is yours. And I didn't say anything. I didn't make any recommendations. I just let it go. And within 3 months, by the time I finished my work there, they had bought their first 3 hybrids. And the police chief was driving a Prius. Nobody could believe it. But again, it was just, the thing that really worked here was not really challenging either their culture or their competing needs, not arguing at all about it, but instead, just strategically giving them some information. And then the third one that I wanted to talk about is one that is in progress right now. And I say this is a work in progress because I don't feel a project is done until I'm successful, and I haven't been successful on this one. But we, the big question is how do we change from this, which is our parking lot at one of our buildings, to this, which is right outside the door of that building. When I did my first climate change inventory, we did a commuter survey, and 80% of the people drive alone to work. The county has no commute program, except they have a wonderful commute benefit, which is everyone gets a free eco-pass, and an eco-pass allows you to take transit for free in the county. But still, we were at 80% driving alone. And the board was really concerned. They thought maybe they should cut the benefit because it was, it costs money and all. And so they got involved in it and discovered that they weren't being distributed widely. They were being distributed, but not to everybody. Not everybody was getting them. So they were really focused on that piece of it, and also the fact that there was really no information for people on how to carpool and things. So unfortunately, or for whatever, those were the assumed barriers to this project. But the real barriers that the people identified in their commute surveys were the fact that they had rigid work schedules, that they weren't allowed to leave 5 minutes early to go catch the light rail. They needed their car for work. There were no showers or bike lockers if they wanted to bike in. And this one I love, which is what I call really subtle disincentives. The door that would have allowed people to get out of the building into the light rail directly and catch the 506 train was locked for security reasons, and so nobody could use it. So they couldn't catch the 506 train, and they weren't allowed to leave a few minutes early. And so these were just some of the things that I identified in this survey, but I couldn't make a case, and I was never really assigned the responsibility for the commute program. So anyways, we did a lot of work, and I didn't. I did a little bit of work giving out information and arranging a few carpool things and stuff, and a website with information. And the benefits department, basically, they did a lot of work on getting the distribution changed so that 100% of the employees now get their eco-passes. And when I did the 210 survey, 80% of people were driving alone to work. No change. So really, there were a couple things on this. One is that I'm really understanding that the real issue for us having a successful program is a lack of resources, and that needs to be addressed. And so my next round, when I go back with an updated climate action plan, is going to be to really specifically call that out. And the last one was very general. This one's going to be really specific. Like, we need somebody assigned this task, paid or whatever, to basically deal with this if we're serious about reducing those greenhouse gas emissions. And what doesn't work is putting a lot of staff time and energy into doing things that really aren't the barriers. So those are the three that I wanted to cover, and I wanted to talk a little bit. You can guess what this is since I asked a question earlier, but this is my current challenge, is that we have inmates, in our jails, the men go in to take showers, and they take them individually, so they don't go in as a group, they go in separately, and there's 6 shower heads in the shower room. By code, we have to supply a certain number of showers. They go in, they turn on all of the showers, hot as they can, full blast, and then they take a really long shower. So one of the things I've been assigned, or I've picked up, is dealing with water conservation issues. And so I'm really interested in the behavior change piece of this. We're going to do everything that we can with fixtures and other things. But I think it's a sustainability issue more than it is just an environmental issue, because really, this is their dignity. This is one of the things that they have a little bit of control over. And it's a challenge to me because I can't use any of my basic tools. I can't go in and interview them. I can't do focus groups. I can't do surveys. I mean, dealing with behavior change also includes dealing with behavior change of the guards and the staff there. So I'm just kind of putting this out there because to me these are really interesting questions, and if anybody has ideas, please email me. So my summary is that there are things that I've discovered that work over time, and one of them is creative persistence, and that's really about just trying to be effective, not trying to be popular. That doesn't work generally. Understanding our barriers, really what people think, not what we think they think. Really being seen, help using our leverage where we can get it to help people, get shifted by their peers a little bit, and basically all these, and then also just strategically based communication. So when we do have control over when we communicate, what we communicate, who's in the room when we communicate, and sometimes that can be a really effective tool to leverage. So that's it.